We want to return to him because he's our refuge, right? He's not our backup plan. I've said it before that the worst phrase that you can say when you're praying for healing, deliverance, or anything is the worst phrase you can say is, well, we've done all we can do. I guess all we can do now is pray. I don't know about you guys, but who's ready to wave the white flag on Christmas movies? Who's ready to give up on it? No one. You're all ready. We started really early. The kids were like ready to go. And so I was like, I'm pretty ready to not listen to any more Christmas movies. We've just been doing so much. So far, we've watched The Polar Express. Who likes The Polar Express? Is that a good one for you guys? The mouths are a little scary to me. I have a hard time watching it. The way that they move is a little freaky to me. We watched The Grinch. We watched Home Alone 1 and 2. We watched Home Alone 1 and 2 again. We watched Frosty the Snowman. We watched Home Alone 1 and 2 a third time. At this point, my kids are already planning that their Halloween costume next year is going to be Marv and Harry. They're very convinced that that's what it is. Levi's already broken a fan in his bedroom trying to set up traps for the bad guys. We are into Home Alone 1 and 2. And that's really where it stops. The rest of them are hot garbage, so we don't watch any other ones. But Home Alone 1 and 2 are where it's at. What about Hallmark movies? Does anyone watch Hallmark movies? Who's all about a couple hands? There's a shameful hand in the front. I don't want anyone else to know that I like Hallmark movies. I've only tried to watch Hallmark movies a few times, and I remember the one time that we just had the Hallmark Channel on repeat at my grandparents' house, and me and my grandfather, my papa, we were sitting there and weren't really watching it, just zoning out. Him and I both, I think I'm hitting the age where I'm doing the same thing when I just sit in a rocking chair for a while. I just also start to zone and start to fall asleep. It's coming more and more as my age progresses. But we're both just sitting in the chair doing that thing, just falling asleep and working through it. And I thought we both zoned out. This is so boring, makes no sense. And then I noticed something on the TV. The guy made another mistake. He forgot something else that was important. And my grandfather out of nowhere just goes, that turkey? And I was like, you've been watching this whole time? I thought he was out cold. So I guess he loves Hallmark movies. Loves them. Shout out, Papa's watching online right now. Get back to your Hallmark movies after this. The weird thing about Christmas movies, though, is how they all talk about the importance of Christmas, the magic of Christmas. They talk about why it's so valuable, how it's the most important time of the year, but none of them say why. None of them are mentioning why it's important. And I don't understand. Personally, I just don't understand, to make such a big deal out of getting presents seems okay when you're a kid, but when we get into the Hallmark movies, I'm confused as to why it's so important. I love watching the stop motion animations. They're about the same way. It's just Christmas, it means everything. It's well, why? Why in this lore does Christmas need to exist? We're not bringing up what's important. And I think it's hard for Christians in America. It's really hard to keep focus as to what is important about the Christmas season for a few different reasons. One, we celebrate Christmas every Sunday. We celebrate the fact that Jesus came every single Sunday. And so it's not really anything new that we're celebrating, but if we're not careful, we can really tune into the Christmas season and we can just lose attention off of Jesus. We can take our focus off of Jesus and put our attention onto our traditions that we love, or put our attention into our gifts that we give or that we receive. But I want you to know this, your attention is a compass. I have this really bad habit, all right? When I'm driving in the car, drives Haley absolutely insane. When I'm driving in the car, if there's someone in the car with me, I make eye contact with them more than the road. I just want to see what they're saying and what they're doing. But inevitably, when I see everyone who has a spouse or a significant other next to them, I'm looking at them so there's always one, I guess. There's always one in the relationship, but inevitably, when I turn my head to look at Haley, the car kind of like starts to turn too at the same time. Because where my focus is going, well, I'm kind of moving my direction that way as well. My daughter, earlier just this year, she has the same realization of when you give attention to something, how much more you notice it. One time we were driving and my daughter saw this bright orange truck and she said, "Oh, Dad, when I grow up, I want a bright orange truck." And then all of a sudden, man, everyone was buying orange trucks. And the amazement every time, "Dad, another orange truck? Where are they all coming from?" She had never known. And I don't know if you've ever had that syndrome. You shop for something and then all of a sudden, it's everywhere. It's just everywhere. Well, that's because your attention is like a compass. What you're focusing on is what you end up seeing. Advertisers absolutely know this. They spend billions of dollars in what's called the attention economy. The attention economy. See, here's what happens when you're on social media or any other platform that requires your attention to use. They know, they've designed it perfectly to keep your attention on your phone, on your screen. They're gonna keep your attention there. And while your attention's there, they're selling your attention to other people. All those suggested videos, all of those sponsored ads that are coming up, that's part of the attention market. Because they know what you're focusing on, your life's gonna go that way as well. Your attention is a compass. And this is important for us to understand because people, things, companies are literally fighting for your attention all the time. They're paying for it. They're designing for it. They're competing for it. And sometimes it feels like the only person who's not that concerned with their attention is you. That everyone is monetizing the idea of your attention, but you. And I say you, I'm including myself. This isn't a message at you. I don't have a perfect attention span. Getting through this 20-minute talk is a feat. That's a gift from God that I made it. But why it matters is your attention doesn't just fill your day, all right? It really shapes your direction. It really points you where you're going. And if you're not careful, you're gonna end up towards the end of your life exactly where you've been headed all along and think, how the heck did I get here? How did I get here? I don't know if you've ever autopiloted while driving. I've gone a full hour drive and not known how I got home. That's just because I autopiloted there. Because my attention, I just knew, gotta get home. And everything else just kind of went through. And so you could go your whole life and be like, how did I end up here? Because you've let your life autopilot. As we're in week 2 of this series, The Characters of Christmas, there's a small group of people in Matthew 2 that I just thought they really stood out to me. See, there's only 2 different groups of people in the scriptures that got to meet Jesus when he was born, when he was first born, at least in these accounts. And we see that the shepherds did, and we see that the wise men did. And the wise men really stood out to me, and I thought, those are some characters that are overlooked. How on earth did they get to meet Jesus as the newborn king? So let's read their story together. Matthew 2, Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of King Herod. About that time, some wise men from eastern lands arrived in Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star as it rose, and we have come to worship him." King Herod was deeply disturbed when he heard this, as was everyone in Jerusalem. He called a meeting of the leading priests and teachers of religious law and asked, "Where is the Messiah supposed to be born?" "In Bethlehem in Judea," they said, "for this is what the prophet wrote. And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are not the least among the ruling cities of Judah. For a ruler will come from you, who will be the shepherd for my people Israel." Then Herod called for a private meeting with the wise men, and he learned from them the time when the star appeared. Then he told them, "Go to Bethlehem and search carefully for the child. When you find him, come back and tell me so I can worship him too." After this interview, the wise men went their way, and the star they had seen in the east guided them to Bethlehem. It went ahead of them and stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were filled with joy. They entered the house and saw the child with his mother Mary, bowed down and worshiped him. Then they opened their treasure chests and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. When it was time to leave, they returned to their own country by another route, for God had warned them in a dream not to return to Herod. And these men stand out in this story because there's three groups here, not just the wise men. There's three groups in this one chunk of scripture. There's Herod, who was the actual king of the Jews. He had power, he had position, he has wealth, and yet he didn't know there's a new king here. He had no idea the new king is here. So apparently, having power, having position, having all the comforts in life didn't seem to help him find Jesus. It didn't help him find Jesus. Matthew also tells us that all of Jerusalem is disturbed with Herod. There are religious leaders there. The scriptures are there. The prophecies are there. Jesus is born down the road, and nobody is looking for him. Okay, so apparently just being close to the truth and in proximity of the truth doesn't really mean you're seeking Jesus either. Now, I don't know about you, but I want to be the most like the wise men in this story. I would like to be one of the groups that gets to meet Jesus. And especially as Christmas is getting closer and my time's getting more and more spread out and spread thin, I don't want to miss Jesus. I don't want to miss him in the holiday season. And so what can we learn from the wise men? Well, when we look back at these three groups, I think it's pretty obvious. If your attention is like a compass, that means your life always moves in the direction of what you are seeking. Your life always moves in the direction of what you're seeking. And this isn't a new idea. And it isn't even my idea. Long before the wise men ever followed a star, there was a man named David who understood the power of what we seek. When we seek God, everything else that fights for our attention all the time, it starts to fade, starts to get a little less powerful. And we're able to see what God is doing. And he understood this. And so David wrote these words, "The Lord is my light and my salvation, so why should I be afraid? The Lord is my fortress, protecting me from danger, so why should I tremble? When evil people come to devour me, when my enemies and foes attack me, they will stumble and fall. Though a mighty army surrounds me, my heart will not be afraid. Even if I am attacked, I will remain confident. The one thing I ask of the Lord, the one thing I seek most, is to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, delighting in the Lord's perfections and meditating in his temple. For he will conceal me when troubles come. He will hide me in his sanctuary. He will place me out of reach on a high rock. Then I will hold my head high above my enemies who surround me. At his sanctuary, I will offer sacrifices with shouts of joy, singing and praising the Lord with music. Hear me, O God, as I pray, O God. Be merciful and answer me. My heart has heard you say, 'Come and talk with me.' My heart responds, 'Lord, I am coming.'" Another translation says, "My heart has heard you say, 'Come, seek me.' And my heart replies, 'I am coming.'" And so the wise men are the only ones to find Jesus because they're the only ones seeking him. And so today, I want us to learn how to seek Jesus. I want us to learn how to seek him. I don't know if you know this. God is not playing hide and seek with you. He's not playing hide and seek, hoping you're going to say the right prayer at the right time, hoping you're going to do the right thing in the right order this time. He's not playing hide and seek with you. Seeking God is a response to an invitation that he has already given you. I try and refer to it like this when people say, man, I just need to pray to God more. I just need to have a better devotional life. I say, hey, when you pray to God and you feel like you haven't for a while, realize he hasn't been standing there all upset and angry, being like, well, it's about time, right? He's not feeling this sort of anger. He's been inviting you the entire time to seek him. And when you seek him, he's there joyfully to participate. He's actively been seeking for you the entire time. Okay, so we get it. It's important to seek God. And I think we read scriptures like seek God. It's like, okay, well, what does that look like? What does that look like that I seek God? You know, you think about, I'm just supposed to sit here and like think about him more? Like I'm just supposed to sit here and hope I can tune into his presence. But let's look at Psalm 27 and let's just get a few ground rules as to how we can seek God. How David was to seek God. So seeking God starts with trust. There's a trust that we give God. It says, the Lord is my light and my salvation, so why should I be afraid? The Lord is my fortress, protecting me from danger, so why should I tremble? David wasn't a, gee, I really hope God works out for me kind of prayer warrior. He didn't base it on what God might do. He based his prayers on who God is. And so to seek after God is to trust him and who he is. When you come to God, is it more with a wish list? And I feel that. I feel guilty sometimes. I find myself wishing that God would do things instead of trusting that he has a plan, instead of trusting that he wants to take care of me. I come and I'm like, man, I just really hope that God will move in my life. But seeking God starts with trusting him. He loves you. He wants you with him for eternity. And he wants you free from all those things fighting for your attention all the time. The second thing that we can do to seek God is that seeking God requires focus. It requires some focus. It says in Psalm, the one thing I seek, the one thing I ask of God is to be in his presence. It requires us not just reordering the list on where God is. Oh, I got a bunch of important things. I gotta work out. I gotta brush my teeth. I gotta spend time with God, and I gotta get my hair cut. It's not about adding God to the list of to-dos. It's really reordering the list. It's gonna involve us narrowing our focus a little bit to focus in on Jesus. God deserves your best energy and your best focus, not your leftovers. The third thing that I saw in this verse that I thought was very interesting and very powerful is to return to him when life gets loud. And I liked the imagery of returning to him because it suggests that I'm not just going to God when I'm in a panic. It suggests that I'm been there all along, and I'm taking a moment right now just to return to his presence in verse 5. For he will conceal me there when troubles come. He will hide me in his sanctuary. He'll place me on a high rock. It's returning to God in times of trouble. We want to return to him because he's our refuge, right? He's not our backup plan. I've said it before that the worst phrase that you can say when you're praying for healing, deliverance, or anything is the worst phrase you can say is, well, we've done all we can do. I guess all we can do now is pray. It's a dangerous place, and we're tempted to wait and to save our focus for that. So seeking God looks like a continual trusting him, focusing on him, and running to him. Again and again and again. You need to do that cycle as often as we watch Home Alone 1 and 2. All right? Again and again and again. Trusting him, focusing on him, and running to him. So David sought God and found him often. He found him in every little way. The wise men sought Jesus. They were looking at the stars. They were looking for signs from a heavenly being, and God revealed that. They sought Jesus. So before we really move on in this message, we need to ask an honest question to ourselves. You've got to start asking, what am I actually seeking right now? And it's tempting for us to give the old Sunday school answer or the Bible college answer. Oh, what am I seeking? I'm seeking Jesus. I'm seeking Jesus. Of course I am. But what are you actually seeking right now? Knowing what you should focus on isn't the same as what you are currently focused on. It's not the same. So how do you find out? You don't find out what you're seeking through intentions. You find out through your attention. What has your attention? When no one is telling you where to look, what takes your attention? What gets the first part of your day? What occupies your quiet moments? Where do your thoughts go when you finally have a moment to slow down? And for some of us, it's going to be success. For some of us, it's going to be comfort. For some of us, it's money, image, control, or approval. And for some of us, it's just distraction, scrolling, noise, staying busy so you don't have to be still, I think is a huge thing that takes our attention. Because when you stop and when you be still, it means you actually have to process some thoughts, and that's a scary thing to do. Trust me, I know, and I understand. None of these things are inherently evil either, but none of them make a very good savior either. The truth is, your life always moves in the direction of what you're seeking. So here's what I want to invite you into this week. It's not something complicated or heavy. It's just about being honest and to start noticing things that are stealing your attention. I want you to do an attention audit. I want you to do it often. Maybe it's just mentally, or maybe it's writing it down or putting it in your notes app, whatever it may be. But all week long, just have you, that'd be beautiful. But all week long, I want you to just start paying attention to what has your attention. Start paying attention to what has your attention. Don't start with a big list of what you want to do, a big list of to-dos. I've often found that as we're trying to seek God, we make this checklist of items that we've got to do. Well, I gotta go buy those Shabbat candles from the store so I can set up some candles for it. I'm gonna read the entire Bible in a month now, and I want to seek Jesus. I have all of these things, and then you wake up to start seeking Jesus, and man, your kid woke up at the same time, and you think, wow, it's all over. There's no way I can seek God now. So I don't want us to just start making a big list of to-dos. What our start is, what has my attention? And start tracking it down. As you try and focus on Jesus, as you try and spend time in prayer, if you lose attention, don't guilt yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Just take note and turn back to Jesus. Maybe you ask yourself these questions every day or every night. What gets the first part of my day? What gets the first part of my day? What do my thoughts drift to when I'm tired or stressed? What do I reach to when I have a free moment? And what do I run to when I need comfort? It's just important. Don't beat yourself up. Don't start guilting yourself. Just gently write it down and turn back to Jesus. And turn back to Jesus. But here's why it's important to do something like this. And it's important to know about your attention. You don't wake up one day and decide, I think I just want to be distant from God. I think I just don't want to live a life near God. You slowly drift there. You slowly drift as your attention moves. You start moving in that direction. And you'll say, I want to follow Jesus. I love Jesus so much. I want to worship him. He's so amazing. But your attention is somewhere else. And again, you'll find yourself waking up one day and wondering, how the heck did I get here? You don't just wake up and say you want to be distant. It's a slow drift. One distracted day at a time. One ignored moment at a time. One more, I'll get that done later at a time. And so, as we're in the Christmas season, as you're inundated with dinners and holidays and buying presents and going out and watching all the Christmas movies, the question the wise men asked, where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? That question changed the direction of three wise men, and it can change the direction of your life too. If you feel caught in the cycle of losing attention, and if you resonate all too well with Paul's writing, I know what I should do and I don't do it, and I know what I shouldn't do and I do it anyway. If you feel that cycle so heavily, you're having a lot of attention drift. That question can change your life. But they didn't find Jesus by accident. Otherwise, Herod and all of Jerusalem would have found him. They were seeking, actively seeking. My concern for us this Christmas season isn't that we'd reject Jesus in some sort of way, but just that we might miss him. So let's celebrate Jesus. Let's seek him this morning. And hey, I want to invite the prayer team up at every single location. We're going to sing Who Else together, because I think it's important for us. I think as we've been learning, those distractions have been coming up. I think the Holy Spirit's been putting on your heart where your distractions are. And so I think it's important for us to just say, who else, God? Who else is worthy?